Have you ever looked at a successful person and asked yourself, wow, they're so lucky? But what really creates that luck? Maybe you think of a business owner who always seems to land lucrative contracts, an athlete who somehow peaks at just the right moment, or even a friend in everyday life who seems to have every door open for them with ease. In those moments, we often call it fate, destiny, or natural-born luck. But if you take a closer look, the story isn't that simple. Luck is rarely a random gift that falls from the universe. More often, it is quietly woven from small actions and seemingly ordinary habits, repeated day after day, year after year. Habits are like tiny bricks. Laying down one brick doesn't seem like much. Add a few more, and still, nothing dramatic changes. But when someone patiently lays brick after brick, every single day without giving up, then after a year, or 10 years, they will have built a solid wall, a strong foundation. And it is on that foundation that opportunities can take root, and luck can begin to grow. That is why some people seize opportunities when they appear, turning them into success, while others let them slip by with nothing but regret. The real difference does not lie in how much luck one has, but in how well they have prepared. Someone who has built strong habits is like a carefully cultivated field. When the seed of opportunity falls, it sprouts immediately. Someone without habits is like neglected soil. Seeds fall, but rarely take root. It is exactly at this intersection, between the desire for luck and the practice of building habits, that Atomic Habits by James Clear enters as a convincing answer. This book doesn't offer empty slogans or abstract philosophy. Instead, it points to a powerful truth in its simplicity. Small, incremental changes in daily habits, if maintained, can lead to massive changes in an entire life. It is the process of turning the tiny into the tremendous, the process we often call the compound effect. And perhaps that's why Atomic Habits has become far more than just another self-help book. It has grown into a global phenomenon, translated into dozens of languages, selling millions of copies, and sparking countless stories of positive transformation. Because it reveals something we all feel but rarely articulate: true luck isn't far away. It lives inside the small choices we make every single day. Whether you wake up 10 minutes earlier to exercise or stay in bed, whether you spend 5 minutes reading a page or scrolling endlessly on your phone, whether you jot down one idea or let it fade away, each small decision, when repeated long enough, quietly sketches the path of your destiny. Before we dive deeper, I want to say a warm welcome to you. Thank you for coming back to the channel. This is the place where we journey together through books that can change the way we see life, ourselves, and the road ahead. Each review goes beyond retelling the story. It opens up reflections and real-life lessons that you can apply directly to your own journey. The direction of this channel is very clear: sharing personal growth knowledge through the best books out there. Because I believe knowledge only becomes truly valuable when it's put into action, and action always begins with small daily habits. And today, we're going to explore one of the most loved books by millions of readers around the world, Atomic Habits by James Clear. This book proves something simple yet profound: that luck, success, or failure all begin with the smallest daily actions, repeated over time. Atomic Habits is one of the most outstanding works of James Clear, who is regarded as one of the world's leading experts on habits and personal performance. More than just another self-help book, this work has become a practical handbook that has helped millions of readers change the way they view personal growth. The message James Clear conveys may sound simple at first, but it carries extraordinary power. Small habits, big changes. In other words, small daily steps, when repeated consistently, can accumulate and create a massive transformation over the course of a lifetime. To explain the mechanism of habits, James Clear highlights a 4-step loop that is familiar but rarely noticed clearly. Cue, craving, response, reward. This loop is the engine that drives all of our repeated behaviors. From something as simple as brushing your teeth each morning to something more complex like maintaining a long-term workout routine. For example, when you see your running shoes placed by the door, cue. You recall the energized feeling after a run, craving. You decide to put on the shoes and head outside, response. And then you enjoy the positive energy, refreshment, and perhaps even compliments from others, reward. By understanding this cycle, we can begin to proactively change our behavior by adjusting the cues, redirecting cravings, or redesigning the rewards. James Clear also introduces several key ideas. Consider the pillars of the book. First, the principle of 1% improvement every day. He demonstrates that if you improve just 1% each day compared to the day before, after a year, the result is not simply being 365% better, it becomes an exponential change thanks to the power of compounding. Just like money grows with compound interest, habits accumulate over time and multiply into massive results, even if they seem invisible at first. On the other hand, if you neglect small positive actions each day, the decline also compounds silently. And over the long run, the cost you pay will be significant. Second, identity-based habits. This is a very different perspective from most common habit-building approaches. Instead of asking, "What do I need to do?" James Clear encourages us to ask, "Who do I want to become?" For example, instead of setting the goal, "I want to read 20 books this year," think instead, "I am a reader." When you connect habits with identity, the action becomes part of who you are, not just a task to be completed. And when actions reflect your identity, they become more sustainable and less fragile in the face of short-term temptations. Third, environment design. James Clear emphasizes that our environment influences our behavior even more powerfully than willpower. A person with strong willpower can still fail if they constantly battle against a tempting environment. Instead of putting yourself in constant resistance, redesign the environment so that it naturally guides you toward positive behavior. For instance, if you want to eat healthily, keep fruit visible and hide sweets in a cabinet that's hard to reach. If you want to stay focused on work, remove your phone from your desk. In this way, you don't have to struggle against temptation. The environment itself nudges you in the right direction. In summary, Atomic Habits is not merely a book about habits. It is more like a map for redesigning your life from the smallest details. The book shows that real change doesn't come from dramatic breakthroughs, but from steady, consistent steps. And throughout this process, you will realize, destiny, opportunity, and even luck always begin with the small daily actions you choose to take. When reading Atomic Habits, one truth becomes crystal clear. Luck is essentially just habits in disguise. Many people imagine that success is the result of a sudden turning point, a miracle event that changes everything. But James Clear shows us the opposite. Success or failure is simply the natural outcome of what we repeatedly do every single day, no matter how small. In other words, luck is not a random gift handed down from above. It is the reward given to those who have patiently cultivated the right habits. Lesson 1. Luck is not a random event falling from the sky. We often hear the phrase, being at the right time, as if someone just happened to catch the favorable wind and was carried to success. In reality, what we call timing only comes and stays with those who have already prepared the foundation to seize it. A businessperson who meets the right investor has in fact spent years honing their skills, studying the market, and building credibility. An athlete who catches the right opportunity on a big stage has endured countless unseen training sessions. Opportunity is merely the spark. Habits are the pile of dry wood patiently stacked beforehand, waiting to ignite. Lesson 2. Good habits are like deposits into a savings account. Today you read one more page of a book. You might not feel any wiser. You run an extra 10 minutes. You might not feel any fitter. but just like putting a little money into your account each day. Over time, compound interest shows up. After months or years, the accumulated balance surprises you. Good habits are the safest investment you can make in yourself. And your future is simply the sum total of all those steady deposits. Lesson 3. Small changes sustained over time create big differences. We've all tried dramatic pushes, exercising intensely for a week, going on a strict diet for a month, cramming before an exam, but afterward, fatigue and pressure often pull us back to the starting line. James Clear shows that the key doesn't lie in short bursts of effort, but in small, consistent actions maintained over the long term. Running 15 minutes a day for a year is far more powerful than running 2 hours and quitting after a week. Slow, steady persistence is where true strength lies. Lesson 4. To sustain motivation, don't just focus on goals. Goals are like destinations on a map. They tell us where we want to go. But whether we actually get there depends on the system, the path we choose, the vehicle we use, the habits we sustain daily. Someone who sets a goal to lose weight may succeed temporarily, but without building a system of healthy eating and regular exercise, the weight easily returns. Meanwhile, someone who focuses on the system, preparing balanced meals, scheduling consistent workouts, shaping a supportive environment, achieves results that last. The system is the wheel that carries you far. Goals are merely the map showing direction. Lesson 5. The root of real change lies in identity. This may be the deepest lesson. True change is not just about what we do, but about what we believe we are. When you see yourself as an active person, running becomes natural. When you identify as someone who lives healthily, choosing wholesome food is no longer effort, but a reflection of your identity. Conversely, if you view habits only as tasks to get done, your motivation soon dries up. Real power comes when habits become part of who you are. Once your identity changes, actions flow smoothly, sustainably, without force. In short, the lessons from Atomic Habits all return to one central truth. Luck is simply habits in disguise. Successful people are not necessarily luckier. They are the ones who plant the right habits and persist with them long enough to reap the rewards. If we had to distill the entire essence of Atomic Habits into a single idea, it would be this: true luck is hidden in the small things you do every day. Success does not appear through a miracle or a sudden opportunity that falls from the sky. It is the result of countless small but consistent choices, made day after day, year after year. People often look at a successful individual and assume they were lucky, that they got a golden opportunity, or that they had someone powerful backing them up. But in reality, such opportunities only become golden when someone has the capacity to recognize and seize them. A businessperson only signs a major contract because they have built the habit of carefully researching the market. An artist only experiences a breakthrough because they have spent thousands of hours practicing beforehand. It is precisely those good habits, quiet, persistent, and steady, that lay the invisible foundation for what outsiders call luck. On the other hand, bad habits are like a hidden form of misfortune. They don't destroy you immediately, but they gradually erode you, just like drops of water wearing down a stone. Today you skip your workout. Tomorrow you choose fast food instead of a healthy meal. The next day you procrastinate yet again. Day by day, week by week, month by month, those choices accumulate into an undercurrent that drags you farther away from your dreams. By the time you turn around, sometimes the distance has become too great. And only then do you realize you've allowed those wrong votes to shape a weaker version of yourself. Try to imagine this. Every action you repeat is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. When you choose to read a page of a book instead of scrolling through your phone, you've just cast a vote for the curious, learning version of yourself. When you choose to exercise instead of procrastinating, you cast a vote for the healthy, disciplined version. Conversely, Every time you allow yourself to fall into a bad habit, you are quietly casting a vote for the weaker, stagnant version of yourself. And after hundreds or even thousands of those votes, the end result is the person you ultimately become. What James Clear wants to emphasize, and what also serves as a powerful reminder for all of us, is this: you don't need to change your entire life overnight. You don't need a grand plan or a miraculous leap forward. You just need to start with one small action. Very small, but repeated consistently. Like a seed. Today it may be no larger than the tip of your finger. But if nurtured steadily, over time it can grow into a mighty tree. Habits work the same way. Time is your most loyal ally. So instead of waiting for luck to knock on your door, let every small action you take today become a vote for the future you want. And when you accumulate enough of the right votes, you will realize that luck is not far away at all. It has always been in your hands, hidden in the little things you choose to do every single day. When reading Atomic Habits, I truly realized that my past failures were not because I lacked goals or ambition. In fact, everyone has goals, often very clear ones: to study harder for higher grades, to find a stable job and advance in a career, to take care of health so the body stays strong and illness-free. But if you stop at having goals, that alone does not guarantee change. What I lacked was a sustainable system of habits, a framework that would help me keep pace, prevent me from quitting halfway, and allow me to move forward step by step with certainty. In the past, I often admired others and assumed they had some kind of special luck. But upon deeper reflection, I realized that what we call luck is actually just the outcome of hundreds, even thousands, of small choices they consistently carried out every day. They woke up just 10 or 15 minutes earlier than I did. But that little time was enough for them to mentally prepare and organize their day. They made the effort to walk, stretch, or do a few exercises instead of letting their bodies slump in a chair for hours. They read a few extra pages before bed, slowly accumulating knowledge, instead of burying themselves in endless scrolling through meaningless information. These seemingly tiny actions, when compounded over time, created an enormous difference, both in mindset and in life. And I realized, true change does not come from one grand decision, but from countless small yet persistent steps. When I started applying a few principles from the book, I noticed that progress did not come suddenly or dramatically. There was no miraculous transformation within a week, but the progress was tangible, slowly spreading into different parts of my life. I felt my body getting a little stronger, my mind clearer, and, most importantly, a sense of control over my own life. Each day, simply seeing myself maintain one small habit, like drinking water after waking up, or jotting down a few lines of gratitude, gave me renewed confidence that I was capable of much more. More importantly, I learned how to trust the process instead of being haunted by or impatient for the final outcome. The feeling of enjoying the journey of change, little by little, brought me true peace and lasting motivation. This reminded me of a famous saying: we often overestimate what we can achieve in a year, but underestimate what we can achieve in 10 years. Habits are the bridge that connects the present to that future. If I don't consistently plant small seeds today, there will be nothing to harvest 10 years from now. But if I start with even the tiniest action and maintain it regularly, the results will far exceed my imagination. And that is why I believe this is one of those books everyone should read, especially if you feel stuck, stagnant, or if you keep telling yourself you're less lucky than others. This book doesn't just present theoretical concepts, it shows a very practical path for you to change yourself. It acts like a mirror, helping you realize that luck does not fall from the sky, nor is it a gift reserved for a chosen few. Luck is something you plant and nurture every single day, through every choice, every action, every small habit that may seem insignificant. And then one day, when you look back, you'll see that you've come a long way, all because you began with those first small steps. Luck is not a gift that suddenly falls from the sky. It's not a random favor from destiny, nor a blessing reserved for a chosen few. True luck is something you create through the small choices, the silent habits, the tiny steps you take every single day. Think about it. A single deep breath when you wake up. A warm glass of water to fuel your body. One page of a book before bed to stretch your mind. Alone, they may seem ordinary, but repeated with consistency, these ordinary actions become extraordinary. They become the foundation of a new path. A path that leads to the transformation you've been waiting for. You don't need a miracle. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. All you need is one small step, today. Then another, and another. And one day, you'll look back and realize how far you've come, simply because you chose to begin. So don't wait for luck to knock on your door. Be the one who builds it. Starting right now. If this video has sparked something in you, share it with your friends and loved ones, because maybe this is the message they've been waiting for. 2. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, so you'll never miss another powerful book review that could change your life. Because sometimes, it only takes one book, one habit, one decision today, to unlock the turning point that transforms your entire future.